Good morning. Um, how are you doing? Welcome to this first video. So today we'll start with introduction to HTML, and then subsequently we'll build on it, move to CSS, and then we'll move to JavaScript, and afterwards we'll now move to React.js. So let's begin with HTML. So this is the content for this. This is the content for this today. We'll start by looking at our prerequisites, then we'll do an introduction, and then we'll develop our first HTML page. Then at the end of it all, I will give you an assignment that you have to do and submit it to me via any of the channels. It can be via email or via chat, anyone you feel is more convenient for you. So let's get started. Prerequisite, what do you need in order to follow this training as you get started? First of all, you should have Visual Studio Code installed, as I asked the last time. I believe you have Visual Studio Code. Then have browsers, have Google Chrome browser, have Mozilla Firefox browser, and any other browser you need to add to your system. It will help you since you're looking at web development. So you need browsers to preview what you're doing. So a browser is very much a requirement. And then after that, you should have an understanding of the Windows file system. Since we are using Windows operating system, so you should have an understanding of the Windows file system, how to write file path, and how to link to various files. So these are what we'll need for us to get started with this training. So we'll begin with an introduction to HTML. Here's a resource for you to read. So you can click on this link and read this Getting Started Guide on HTML. So I hope that you should go through this link before I release the next video. So what is HTML? A lot of us we've heard a lot about HTML, HTML everywhere. HTML is the language of the web. So it is not a programming language, it is a markup language. So it is what you use to tell the web browser how to structure web pages. When you go to a website where you see a particular text appearing, how the text is appearing, how big the text is, the behavior of the text in terms of positioning and placement on the web browser. That's what HTML does. That's what markup language do. You're like doing a structure. You're like dividing your web browser into a structure and saying, I want this text or whatever is going to appear to be this way and that way. So that's just what we're talking about when we say HTML is a markup language. So be careful not to confuse it as a programming language. Now, HTML is made basic building components are its elements, HTML elements, and they are called HTML tags. So a tag in HTML have a basic structure where we have an opening tag, a closing tag, and its content. If you look at this paragraph, this P tag here, this P tag here, by the way, is called a paragraph tag. So if you look at this tag here, you will see the first opening angular brace and then a letter P, then a closing angular brace. This first segment is what we call an opening tag. So after this first segment, the next part of the line here, what is contained inside, in between here, is what we call the content of the tag. So, and then at the end, we have the closing tag. So you can see the basic difference between the closing tag and the opening tag is the word backslash. So it's a backslash. So this backslash is what differentiates the opening tag from the closing word tag. So a basic HTML element has an opening tag, the content, and the closing tag. There are some HTML elements that might not have these three components in it. Some of them might not have a closing tag. For example, you can look at this image that some of them do not even need content at all. So we can call such HTML elements or such tags empty tags. So as you go along, you will come across some of these tags that do not follow this pattern. Then another aspect of HTML that you need to understand is every HTML element or HTML elements have what we call attributes. So attributes in HTML are a way to tell how a HTML element should be different from other elements, how it should behave, a way to identify the HTML element. So we can have an attribute, for instance, called name, and we can give it a value. So by that, we have given that HTML element a name. There's an attribute called ID, which you can give a value, and by that, you've given the HTML element an ID. So the basic structure of a HTML attribute is the attribute name, followed by an equal sign, and then in quotation, the attribute value. You can see from this example, I am using double quote. You can also use single quotation if you prefer that. Like looking at this A tag here, we call this A tag the anchor tag. So we have this A tag. From our syntax of a normal HTML element, we have that this is the opening tag, right? Then inside the opening tag, that is where you now put your HTML attribute. So the attribute that we have here is called href. So href, this href signifies the name of that attribute. And then we have this equal sign here. And then after that, we have the value of the attribute, which we put inside the quotation marks. So remember, you can use double quote or single quote. And after that, you can now see that we have the content of the HTML element, which is visit Google here. And then we have the closing tag here as well. So the anchor tag is used to insert links into your HTML page. As we go along and you see, you will get to know more about this tag. For now, I'm giving an introduction of HTML. So basically, this is all what you need to know to get started with HTML. HTML has elements and elements have attributes. The HTML elements have a structure, and I believe by now you should understand how a HTML element structure looks like. So the next thing we are looking at from our content is our first HTML base. So this gives us the basic structure of our HTML page, of the HTML page. The HTML page starting from HTML5 should begin with doc type. So this element or this tag here is an empty tag which is beginning with doc type. So you can see it here, doc type HTML. Then the next tag is what we call the HTML tag itself. So this tells us that we are beginning a HTML page. So when you're beginning a HTML page, remember that it is the HTML tag that starts it. So every page you see on the web begins with HTML tags. Then the HTML page is divided into two main parts, the head and the body. So you can see the head here and you see the body over here. Now the body contains what you see on your web page, while the head contains metadata, informations that will help the browser, web browsers, web readers, for optimization of your web page. Search engines use all the content of the head to enable your web page appear for people to see and stuff like that. So this is what the head tag does. For example, you can see a meta tag here, and in this meta tag we are specifying that the car set attribute is what UTF-8. We see the title tag here. The title tag, we are giving our HTML page, my test page, as what its title. So you see this title. By the time we run the example, you will see how this title will appear on the browser when we preview our page. And then you will discover that this title will not show in the body of the page. What actually shows in the body of your browser are the contents that are found in the body tag. So you see a basic HTML content have the doc type specifying it's a HTML5 document, and then you have the HTML tag, then you have the head tag and the body tag. In the head, you have information that help your page to appear fine, that helps search engine to optimize, that help your page work fine for search engine optimization. It also help screen readers to also understand what your page is all about. It can help for language translation, among other things. Then in the body, the content that you want to appear on your page, that is what you put there. For example, we can say that we have a paragraph tag inside our body. So I'm going to move over now to Visual Studio Code so that we will run a simple example of what this today's class is all about. So we'll move on to Visual Studio Code. Now, this is my Visual Studio Code. It looks like a new Visual Studio Code, but I've been using Visual Studio all this while. So I started by creating a folder called Evelyn Portfolio. So I expect that the folder where you want to keep all your files for this training, you should have it. Then inside that folder, create another folder called Evelyn Portfolio, which called your name, sorry, by your name, a folder by your name. So use your name and then append it with portfolio. After you've done that, then you can open that folder that you just created with your name and appended with portfolio in Visual Studio, because that's what we are going to use. So coming to Visual Studio, if you look right over here, you can create a new file. So when you hover on this icon, you will see the new file tooltip shows for you. You click on it and then you specify your file name. So I'm going to specify index.html. So I specify this index.html. So this is my HTML page. And then I want to now start typing my HTML. So using Visual Studio, we'll see that it has IntelliSense that will suggest for us as well. So as we go on, I will show you how to install some extensions that will get this Visual Studio work fine. And by the way, let's install one extension. So if you look at your Visual Studio by your left, you will see this at the last icon over here, this icon, you see extension. So when you click on extension, you can install various extensions for yourself. So you can install a HTML snippet extension. You can also install Emmet, right? Search for Emmet and install. Let me find there's an Emmet I have installed. It's not showing here. Let me find. Okay, Emmet is not showing here for me, but you can install your extension. Okay, I can't find Emmet right now. I'll find the extension. Okay, these are the extensions I have installed. So let me see if I have it there. You can install Prettier code formatter, install live server. It's very important to install live server. You can install HTML snippets, HTML boilerplates. You can install, this is ES7. We don't need that for a start now. So we're just going with these ones for now. So install live server, install Prettier code formatter as well. So we are going on over to here. You type live server, right? So when you do that, you see live server and you can install live server here. And then take note of it, live server. So get live server installed in your VS Studio Code extension. Then you can install Prettier code formatter. So Prettier, get this installed as well in your VS Studio Code. So we'll be starting with these two extensions for now. All right. And yeah, the last extension before we move on, install what HTML snippets. So you can install HTML snippets and it will get that done. It will be installed for you to help you with your IntelliSense as well. So I think that is all what we need for this video. So after you've done that, the next aspect of our code should be our head tags. Right, so we install the head, we have the head, and we also have the body tags as well. So having that, next thing we are going to have our first meta tag, which we are going to give a car set attribute of what UTF48. So this is our first meta tag, right? And it's an empty tag. It does not have the explicit opening and closing tag. Then we are going to have our title tag. So the title tag, by the time we run this page, you will see that it will appear at the title bar of our browser. So we are going to have our title to be like Evelyn's portfolio, right? So I want to design a portfolio for myself, right? I want to design a portfolio for myself. And so here I begin my paragraph and I just write, this is a portfolio landing page for Miss Evelyn Who Anyebe. So we can see now that I have this my basic HTML structure. So what I want to do now is I want to view it. So if you already have Live Server installed, simply right click on the body of your HTML markup, HTML page, and then you click open with Live Server. When you do that, it will be opened on your browser for you. So you can see my paragraph text showing here. This is the portfolio landing page for Miss Evelyn Nyebe. You can see the URL for the browser here. Live server runs on port 5500, and this is my index.html that you can see. Here is what you really need to take a good note of. You can see Evelyn's portfolio, so you can see the title of my page showing here. Let's go to another browser and view this. So I will open my Google Chrome and then view this on Google Chrome. So viewing this on Google Chrome, this is what I get. And you can see the title bar of our page, Evelyn's portfolio. So you can see our title showing here. So this is what the head does for us. The head gives our web browser screen readers some information that they can use when passing our HTML tags. So now here is the body. So everything that shows here, everything showing from this portion, the body and the entire body of our page, you get that from the entire screen here, this white blank screen, you get that from the body of our HTML tag. So having come to the end of our basic first HTML page, I have this exercise here. Create a HTML page, name it the way it is written here, add a paragraph, and then preview it with Live Server. I would like to see a snapshot. Your snapshot should be a snapshot of your entire screen because I would like to see the title bar and everything. So do a full snapshot. So I hope to see this from you before tomorrow. So looking forward to seeing that. So for now, I would say goodbye.